Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's. There we go. Y'all can see me now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Get Wealthy Wednesday, where we focus on helping. Let me get this all squared away and get her in here. All right, let's see. There we go. Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
All right. So our purpose here of Get Wealthy Wednesdays is to focus and increase the knowledge of building generational wealth and by speaking to industry leaders. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by More Own Business. I want to make sure I put that up there for y'all to see. Make sure you go and check out moreownbusinesses.com, where we promote products and businesses of Black-owned businesses, making it easier to build our community from within. Also, special thanks to Batia Botanicals for supporting the show. Check out batiabotanicals.com, where they have all of your herbs and herbal needs. So go check those out right there. We'd like to introduce Itika Watkins to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
She is, I don't know, she just has so much knowledge. She has, I can't wait to get started. So, if you have a business and you're planning on starting a business, she's the person that you want to talk to get your money right. So how are you this evening?
I feel pretty good. How you feeling this evening?
I'm doing great. And I'm just glad to be able to have you on here tonight because this is actually a series that we're doing, and it's everything that we're talking about, everything that we're doing is talking about building generational wealth, what we can do to get our money right. We had someone on here last week, Angel Radcliffe, where we were talking about personal finances. So I wanted to follow that up with business finances, and I know that you are the person to be able to talk to about that. So thank you again for being here. What I want to do is just get a little bit more information about you. So tell me a little bit more about you and what it is that you do.
Sure. So, hello everybody out here on YouTube and on Periscope and anywhere else we might be streaming to. Many of you follow Brandon, and some of you are also my friends. So thank you for being out here on tonight. I'm Itika Watkins. For those of you that don't know me, that are just coming into the room, and I am the owner of a company called Professional Bookkeepers. And what we do is we manage the books for people who are high net worth, 5, 6, and 7 figures. And really, when we meet people at this level, we're simply helping them to create a financial back office for their businesses because they're at a place where they have volume and they're ready to scale and to grow. And so when people connect with me, generally they are ready to go. Most people don't know what bookkeeping is. You should check out some of the job postings I see from time to time. So it's safe to say that this is a good conversation to at least know what bookkeeping actually is. And I always tell people that bookkeeping is essentially 3 things. It is the recording of information, it's the documenting of information, and it also is the reporting of information. And most people, they fail at bookkeeping because they're not doing one or all of these things. And usually where you feel it the most is in your finances, in your pocket, because you're not compliant. So I'm looking forward to the discussion that we can have on this evening, Brandon.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate all of that. Like I said, one of the things that you mentioned is a lot of people don't know exactly what bookkeeping is. I guess some people say, hey, I took accounting in school, and or something like that. And I think they kind of miss the idea of exactly what bookkeeping is, especially when it comes to the businesses. I know that we have a lot of different people that is going to be on this feed, whether it's on YouTube or on Twitter or Periscope or wherever people are looking from. But at the same time, what's the difference? Like I said, some people just think it's money. it's all money, right? It's numbers, so it's pretty much easy to do the same thing. Or I think that's how a lot of people grasp it.
So we do bookkeeping every day. We just may not call it bookkeeping. We keep track, and women keep track very well.
Right?
All it is a matter of just systematically having a way to record the economic events that happen for your retail company, for your service business, for your product and service business. It is all of the economic events that give rise to your wealth, or to your to your bottom line, your equity, your value. And so when we don't have this information for our businesses, we're missing great opportunity. We're missing opportunity to know what's selling good. I mean, you may feel like but we're missing the opportunity to know with certainty how well we're performing, how bad we're underperforming. If there is strategy that we can build into our business. And this is simply by the information that we're creating every day. So you're creating every day economic events, whether you have an accounting system or not. I usually come out and I talk about the mechanics of things, and you can get lost in that, because one thing that people they'll say, well, I do my bookkeeping, I write in my register, or I put my information into an Excel spreadsheet. But listen, we're in the day of technology. If you haven't experienced that as a part of this pandemic, I don't know where you've been. But we are definitely a part of a moving, growing technology movement. And it's going to come to the point where banks won't even lend to you if you don't have your information in a digital way. So it's important for us to, just get acclimated, to learning it. Even if you don't have a business that's thriving yet, you still have to file your taxes. You still are starting up. You may have startup costs, and knowing how to record that information, whether it's an asset or whether it's an expense, is vitally important. So,
right. I think that's a lot of our issues, especially as business owners. Sometimes we think we can do it all, especially if we have Excel, if we have something that we've always used to say, okay, this is my expense for the month or something like that. But I think I know there's a lot of different things that's out there, and makes our job a lot easier than sitting there trying to sit there, and like, okay, what was that? Or like these minor costs or stuff like that. That's things that we don't really think about that could probably go toward a business expense, as opposed to just being something that's being paid out of our pocket.
Right.
And then I know sometimes, especially as a business owner, that we don't. I'll put it this way: as a new business owner, because there's a lot of things that we do that's had our businesses for a long time, and we know exactly. Hey, you need more than just PayPal. You need more than just Cash App, right? You need to be able to have that banking institution that's going to be under your business name. And the ability to separate money and stuff like that. So
exactly. And I think that the one thing that when you're operating at a certain level, then I think sometimes our minds can be a little bit narrow as to why we need it. We don't always understand the benefits of having an accounting system, or the benefits of having an accountant on our team. We're thinking I can do it all, but there comes to a place where you can't do it all. There comes a time where you can't invoice every month. It comes a time when you might miss payments because you forgot. You're juggling as an entrepreneur, especially when you're building a team. You're juggling so many things. And if you're doing it all, it's easy to affect yourself negatively, not just missing your own mile markers, but making relationships with your customers bad because you told them you were going to invoice them. You never sent the invoice. So now you're apologizing your way through it. Like, I'm sorry, I meant to send the invoice. Well, if you had an accountant, you forwarded the contract over, or if you were using a system that integrated well. See, I always talk about QuickBooks. How many of y'all have QuickBooks? If you don't have QuickBooks, you don't know what QuickBooks is, I'm going to tell you just a little bit. QuickBooks is one of those systems that is very, very user-friendly. That as you become an infrastructure, as you decide what your tax structure is going to be, whether that's a limited liability company, whether that is a limited liability partnership, whether that is an S corporation or even a corporation, it is one of those types of applications that will grow with you. Not only with it being a web development company, it has relationships with other types of companies like T-Sheets, like, different mileage, applications. And so what happens is you're able to integrate these different technologies into your QuickBooks system that will allow you to have more of an automated process so that you're not missing critical things like sending off a contract. And not only that, sending the contract off and not recording that you sent the contract in your system, receiving money and not knowing where to apply it. What is that you've, give loaned yourself, because many of us invest in our own business personally, or is it money from a loan that you've gotten from family member, from SBA, or is it money from someone who's paying you? And see, when we don't know how these things work, then we could easily be paying taxes on money that has already been taxed.
Exactly.
Right? All because we don't know how, this information flows. So QuickBooks is definitely one of those types of systems that I believe introduces the very, very young entrepreneur into a system that can grow with them, can grow with their people, as they begin to build.
Right. And that's one of the things I preach, being in the tech world and being a techie. I'm all about automation. One of my companies that I created, Brand New Technologies, it's all about business automation. It's about making things a lot easier for small business owners and everything else, because like you said, there are a lot of tasks that, especially as a new business owner or a small business owner, we try to do too much by ourselves. And you also mentioned that, it's about that team building, to build that team around you. As a CEO, you shouldn't be sitting there trying to, look at the books all day, or sitting there trying to do, send out, mail out, whatever, any of your products. You're doing too much. And some of the things that you're really going to need to do, especially to keep your business tight, is to keep your money tight, and have somebody to do that for you. Because after a while, like I said, I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers, but at the same time, I have an accountant. I'm going to have that person right there, like, hey, look, this ain't, this is above my pay grade. I can't do everything. I think that's one of the things that we really need to understand, especially as business owners, whether we're new, small business, small to mid-size, or whatever it is, to be able to know to build that team, to try to alleviate some of that pressure that we have on us as CEOs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And using your information, because what we will learn as a chief executive officer of our companies, you're the face of your organization. You're the one that's building the relationships with vendors, suppliers, other external factors. And the more you're in your office, doing the menial tasks, you're failing to do what is the greater work, which is building those relationships, having the opportunity to network, having the opportunity to partner, collaborate, and do those types of things. So you definitely want to build your team. And that's one thing I love about the system as well, is that if you have grown to that point where you actually need someone to perform the billing function, you can.
Right.
You need to have someone to perform, the account payable function, you can. If you want to invite your tax professional into your system to make adjustments that are strategic in nature, you can, right?
Right. It goes back to that working on your business or working in your business type of role, right? It's like, look, I need that time to go out and make those partnerships, go out to those, move and shake, do all the move and shake. I don't have time to put stamps on mailers, those type of things,
Exactly.
Exactly. So how long have you been doing this? I know I've known you for a long time, but, and I've always known you as, the bookkeeping strategist, but how long have you really been in this field?
Jesus. So I started I graduated 2001. So I've been an accountant for about that long. Actually, I started in public accounting, and then ventured off into manufacturing, ventured off into healthcare, private sector business, and I always came back to the public accounting.
Right.
But public accountants and public accounting firms are experiencing what some of us smaller organizations are experiencing, which is that people don't see the value in having bookkeeping. And so because they don't, you're going to pay a lot. You're trying to get that whole year done within 1 hour, you're going to pay a price for that. I've been doing this for that long. I think when you and I met, actually, I was just launching my business. I had left my full-time career to actually get to the place where I want to help. I want to help people that want to build. I want to help people that need the service, that, they don't have the money to pay, for someone to look at their books and advise. They need someone to actually be hands-on. And so that's how I actually got started. But I've been doing this for more than 15 years. More than 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, I was even going to ask you, what was your motivation? I mean, it's good to be able to work with, some of the, maybe smaller companies or, maybe the noobs in the entrepreneurial world that, maybe they don't know, and it's like, especially when you're first getting started and you're trying to build that, that job, that business credit, trying to understand where the money is going, where it's coming from, how much are you really making? Because that, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day is like, okay, I know all this money is coming in and going out, but what's my bottom line, really looking like?
Exactly. And I think that that's the area where I kind of want to dominate, because there's so many people that need this. Bookkeeping is probably the most menial task, but if you miss it, it can be the worst. And so I really am interested in helping people who need to have an accountant. And if you've never thought about when you need an accountant, you actually need to begin to have an accountant the moment you have an idea. You need to sit and talk to someone, even in an advisory role, because the number one question that I get most times when I meet people is, do I need a business plan to start? You technically do not need a business plan to start, but having a business plan is so fundamental. And the basic part of it is built off of the financial information. And so, most people miss that, but it's very, very important to do. So that would be the first introduction to having a bookkeeper or someone that's an accountant. When you're thinking about starting a business, and if you're thinking about creating a plan, what does that look like? And someone should be able to pull your information together, formulate it for you so that you can see what it is picturesquely.
Right.
That word picturesque.
So that it's fine. It's a word.
Yeah. Tell a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially, there's a lot of different, when you're looking to get into partnerships, when you're looking to get into maybe some type of contracting, those, that's when your skills are really needed, because sometimes that financial information is something that you need to be able to prove to be able to get into partnerships or get into just say government contracting or some type of contracting, because they want to see your numbers. They want to see everything that's been going on for the last 3 years sometimes, and just to be able to gauge exactly what's going on, or whether you're going to be able to apply for loans, or some of the things that we're seeing right now, especially with everything that's going on, right? And you're seeing a lot of companies that's offering grants and all type of stuff, and they're like, hey, show us your numbers, and you better have your you better have all of that stuff together and have somebody on your team to be able to pull those things together.
Yeah. And not only that, being able to speak to them.
Right.
And understanding the numbers, because I have a story like that where an investor was looking at one of my first clients actually to give money to fund a show.
Right.
And actually the investment was not going to be a good investment. It was more or less, my client would have been working for them.
Right.
But so we gotta get over this the shiny object syndrome, right?
Right.
Let me talk to my accountant. Let's crunch these numbers and let's figure out if this is something viable, because it should always be a win-win. But if you don't know your information, if you don't have your information, if you don't have a way to compile the information, you will be bamboozled every time.
Exactly. So, I mean, one of the things that, you really need to consider when you're starting that business, as you said, build that team, have a numbers person, have a lawyer, have those people at your disposal, because sometimes you're going to you may be getting into these partnerships or these agreements or something like that. And if you don't have anyone who actually, knows how to do the numbers or actually reads legalese, you can definitely find yourself in trouble. I mean, we see it every day that somebody has either signed a contract that they didn't know that they were giving up too much, or they were, just didn't know exactly what it meant. They see the numbers, upfront numbers, right? And then everything that's coming behind it is like, okay, I've sold out for just like $1 million, but everything that's coming behind that, you're like, well,
exactly.
You're getting cheated, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah, that kind of leads me into my next question.
Okay.
What is some of the mistakes that you see a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs make as it relates to bookkeeping or any of the things that you handle?
Great question. So the number one thing that I see is commingling of funds. More people, more times than not, commingle their funds. You're thinking independently. A lot of times you're thinking, I own the company, but you're not thinking about your tax structure. You're not thinking about your formation, and you're not thinking about the legal liability that can be had by commingling of funds. Many of us opt for the limited liability corporation type of formation. Everybody's a LLC of some sort, and single membered at that. But the number one thing that I see people do that they might not even know that they're doing wrong, like there's no malice in it, they weren't trying to do it wrong, they just didn't know, is they commingle their funds. So they attach all of their bank accounts, anything with their name on it. They're just like, yep, I got a business, all this can be attached. Well, what you've done is now you've compromised yourself, because a limited liability company protects you from your creditors, right? It protects you from people being able to sue you personally.
Right.
But now you're complicating that. You're muddying the waters, because now you've attached your personal name to your business.
Right.
And so that's the number one thing that I see people do a lot of times, more times than not. And again, it's not for any malice. It's not to, it's just they didn't know. Right. So the one thing you can do for yourself, if you haven't thought about this before, keep business and personal.
Right.
Okay. If you're loaning yourself money, you kind of, depending on your structure, you probably want to put it in writing.
Right.
Writing so basic as, I want to pull my money back out at a certain time. I'm going to earn interest at the frequency of that interest, or the frequency of the payments you expect to receive from your company. You want to do that because I think so many times people are looking at themselves as just a single business. You should be thinking about a business that people can buy.
Right. Right. And I think that's one of the things that I learned a long time ago. Someone told me a long time ago, when you're starting and when you start thinking about building a business, don't put your name on it. No, do not start a company with your name on it. Because it, if there's going to be anything that you're going to have, if you're going to have logos and all of this stuff, and then it comes into a point where you want to sell your business, you're going to sell your name. You're going to lose a lot of different things with your name on it that's attached to you, especially and also with legal liabilities, because now everything is just tied to you personally. It's your name, it's your everything. So if you're going to start a business, at least have it as a different entity than your own personal name, because I don't think a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people think about that, especially when they're first starting a business and like, hey, I want my name in lights. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't. You don't want it. You can be the, the owner, the, founders, all of those other things, but at the same time, you don't want to, because sometimes you have to think down the road where I may be wanting to sell this business later. And if you're selling your business, you may be selling your name, your rights to your name, and you may not be able to use your name anymore because you sold the rights to it. So like I said, a lot of people don't really think about that part. It's just like that, those one small little thing that a lot of people don't really think about when they're starting a business.
Exactly. And commingling also meaning your credit cards, also meaning your bank accounts. You want these things to have your business name on it. The only thing that keeps you from not being able to establish credit or to establish a bank account is the fact that you don't have those preliminary things in place. But once you do, go ahead and establish that for your company and leave your personal accounts separate from your business. Because it does compromise your position.
Exactly. So, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, I believe. Find out what that DUNS number is. It's very important that you understand what that is to be able to get that line of credit for your business. So you're going to be able to, as you're creating that separate entity, that separate entity is going to have its own line of credit. You're going to use it as that one. So make sure you, like I said, find out what a DUNS number is and go apply for it if you have not done so to date. One of the things that as an entrepreneur, I know that we touched on a little bit, especially with QuickBooks, is that one of the best tools that's out there that we can use to try to get around hiring a bookkeeper or something like that, because I know some people may not have the funds, they may not be able to afford you or whatever. So and those type of things, especially with like everything that's happening now, people are cutting funds, people are trying to just stay afloat with all of pandemic stuff going on, and just a lot of people not having jobs, or so still trying to keep everything afloat, keep everything going, and then still try to keep the numbers straight. So what tools or what things do you suggest that people do for that?
Definitely, QuickBooks is a solution that is affordable for any organization, whether you're just starting or whether you are a mature company. What I love about it is that what you're paying for is your license, right? So that's what you're actually paying for. If it's just you and is totally you by yourself, you want to at least have, I would say, 2 to 3 licenses. You want to be able to, number one, invite your tax accountant or tax professional into your system. You want to be able to invite your accountant or your bookkeeper, if you have one, into your system, or have the opportunity to do it. But you can start at the most basic of levels. What you need as a CEO to be able to understand is, what do I need my system to do for me? If you don't have trade lines and you're not paying your bills, 30, 45, 60, 90 days out, you probably are paying your bills when you receive them or whenever you feel like it, right? So you may not need such a robust system. But if you're invoicing, you definitely want it. You know, you definitely want to have it. The second thing that I think is important is having a system that integrates seamlessly with what you're already using.
Right.
If PayPal is your e-commerce platform, if Stripe is your e-commerce platform, if Square is your e-commerce platform, if you're using Dasado or any other project management tool, and those are working for you right now, then don't disrupt what you're doing right now, but make sure that those systems integrate seamlessly with your accounting system, because an accounting system does more than just report revenue. Those are the type of systems that solely tell you how well you sold a product or service.
Right.
That's it. It doesn't tell you what you spent. It doesn't tell you what the cost of money is, your merchant fees are, your bank charge fees. You know, it doesn't tell you all those things that round out that discussion. It's just reporting solely to you your revenue. So, but you can use QuickBooks at $5 if you're self-employed and all you do is, you know, you sell products on your website. Perfect solution. $5 a month.
Right.
$5 a month. Also have a mileage tracker in it for you if you do a lot of traveling in your car or that type of thing.
Right. So it integrates with Shopify stores and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Shopify. There are a number of different time reporting tools that might be needed if you have a staffing agency or if you're building what would be your staff, but you're not necessarily ready to pay payroll right now, but you need to monitor, you know, your employees / independent contractors' time, and you need a way to measure what they're doing for you. Time tracking is there. It's just so the main question you need to ask yourself as a CEO is, what do I need this system to do for me?
Right.
And how does it integrate well with what I'm already doing?
Right.
Because it shouldn't cost you any more. It's just a connection.
Right. Yeah, it's you know, like I said, it's all about the you know, little nerdy talk about the API, right? If the API connections
that's exactly what it is.
You know, exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
You know, I'm like, all right, well, I can pull this in. You know, I'm using WooCommerce, I'm using Shopify, I'm using MailChimp or whatever. Any of those things that may be you know, bringing in money or, you know, tracking the money that you bring in. And like you said, some of the things that we do, we may only be looking at the numbers that's coming in, right? Just say, for instance, we have a Shopify store and we see, you know, whatever products that we're selling, right? We're selling, you know, we're seeing how much money is coming in. But I'm guessing that especially with like QuickBooks and when you start having real tools to track exactly what's going on, you're going to be able to see, you know, how much money you're spending on shipping, how much money you're spending on, you know, all of these little tedious things, you know, stamps, postage, and all of that good stuff that, you know, you may not really, you know, consider to say, okay, this is really what my business is really costing, and not just, you know, looking at that big number that's saying, hey, this is how much money I made, not necessarily how much money, you know, I paid. You know,
you want a accounting system and also an accountant if you're at that place to begin to have the strategy conversation.
Right.
That's when you really want to, you know, hone in on bringing someone. You're ready to talk about the strategy of your business. You're ready to talk about those continuous monitoring types of things that you have to do all of the time while you're building your business. That's what helps you to have a more rounded conversation. Knowing that you hit $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in sales a month means nothing if the labor costs you $28,000.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And when do you pay the $28,000? Is that this month or next month?
Exactly.
When you want to know the strategy, that's when you really begin to depend on your accounting system. But ultimately, $5 a month at the lowest basic subscription level for QuickBooks. And then obviously it's a monthly subscription. It's based upon the licenses. And you want to have a bank. This is the main thing. People get frustrated because they're banking with dinosaur banks.
Right.
And their bank is no good. Their bank sucks. and you just need to move your business somewhere else to a bank that will allow you to make that API connection to your system.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another link here is that I want to put up here. Is this a way for? Tell us about that link. I'm not just going to guess.
So because I know people are not, and I don't want to say that they're not able to afford it. It's just not the priority for a bookkeeper or accountant right now. There's so many other expenses that you have. You do want to have an accounting system, and some people do have them, and they're not even using them. They don't know the first place to start. So if you connect with me at this link here, what this does is that it allows me to do what I like to call a bookkeeping checkup, to make sure that all of your system, all of your integrations, all of those inner workings that round out your accounting system are set up properly, to make sure that your information is feeding in appropriately, and a little bit of training there too.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All right, so make sure y'all check that out, bit.ly/2QTR books.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and check that out. She will be able to help you out with all of those things there. I also, while we were talking, I made sure that we knew exactly how to reach you on Twitter and also on IG. Is there anywhere else that you want people to find you, or?
I'm really not on Twitter, if I just tell the truth. I'm only on Twitter if I Periscope, and I love Periscope.
Oh, okay, all right.
So if you catch me out there, that's I'm never going to give up Periscope. I love Periscope. But you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at the Bookkeeping Strategist. And I usually am putting out business tips, tax tips, accounting tips to help the newbie business owner to at least get leverage themselves a little bit before they hire an accountant. So I love to see you out there, love to talk to you, love to get to know you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all of that. Is there any other things that you want to promote while we're here? I know that you sometimes you go live, and I don't know what days those are anymore. I used to know.
I go live when I feel like it. If something is high level that I think people really, really need to know, I'm going to be training on my Facebook page. It's a free training. You can come out there. And I usually like to walk people through some of the things that they should be looking for high level in terms of the mechanics of QuickBooks. Because see, what you don't know is you will mess your books up by not finding somebody to help you. And so I'm planning to come out here on this Saturday. If you're following me, you'll get the notification, but it really is to help people to understand two reports, the balance sheet and the income statement, and what flows through it, what makes it right or wrong.
Okay, so please go and check her out. Go reach out to her. I mean, I know a lot of us, try to be independent and try to figure stuff out and try to be cheap. No, this is something that you don't want to be cheap about because this is something that can make or break your business. Honestly, this is something that you really need to, put forth the effort, set aside the money for, understand exactly what's going on, because you really, it's imperative that where your money is going. Is it coming in? Is it going? Where? How are you spending it? Is it a situation where there's some automation that you can do a lot more things where you're not sitting there, grinding, trying to figure out, what's really going on. It's like, because I know, especially if you have a lot of different things that's going on, a lot of different businesses or a lot of different, things going on at one time, it can be very hectic.
I just met a woman, honestly. She said she had 15 companies. I was like, whoa, oh my God. But she only had an accounting system for 3. That is totally bad. Because we don't know how the other 12 are doing.
Right.
So they all might be loser companies. We have no idea For every company, I tell people this all the time. For every company that you want to have a system for it.
Right.
You want to have a bank for it, a bank account for it. You want to have credit cards or credit lines or loans for it. For every single company, you don't want to commingle that stuff.
Right.
Okay, because ultimately what you need as a CEO is information. How well is this business performing?
Right. And it's, I mean, when it's, here's the nerdy side coming out of me. You're going to need those metrics. You're going to need those, that pretty chart eventually to be like, okay, what's really going on? And that's one of the things. Like I said, last week we were talking about Mint. This week we were talking about QuickBooks. But you need to be able to look at those metrics to see exactly what's going on, to be able to find the health of your businesses or your business that you have, and you're not going to be able to do that trying to pick this stuff off the top of your brain.
Exactly. And so Mint is like one of those personal type of applications that you can export information out and provide to your accountant so that they can exclude what's not business or what's personal.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things that we can do to work smarter. And that's ultimately what I think you wanted for this conversation, is for people to know how to build a business right, so that they can build the wealth that they're looking for, something sustainable. You can't do it if you don't know where you're spending money or when your money's coming to you. There's no way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what this platform is about. Trying to figure out a better way to understand money. A lot of people don't know they don't understand the dollar. They don't understand how credit works. They don't understand how wealth, we can even start building wealth. So one of the things that, encompasses building wealth is establishing a business. And as we establish businesses, then it's important that we keep that money, keep all of that money on track to understand exactly what's coming in, what's going out, and have someone like yourself to be able to say, hey, look, this is what's really going on, because that, as we said, it's not something that we really want to be doing as a CEO. It's not our job to sit there and constantly look at the numbers.
As a CEO, you need to know enough to be dangerous.
Right. Exactly. Know what's going on. Don't get me wrong. Know what's going on at the same time, because
know enough to be dangerous.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So make sure, because sometimes you still have to keep that eye, right? But you got to keep that eye.
Real story. One of my accounts hired me, and their previous accountant actually stole from them.
See?
Just not watching, just not, just not paying it any attention.
Right.
When you're at that level where you're just not paying attention, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You need to know enough to be dangerous. You need to know when your payroll is being run and when it hits, when you're paying your independent contractors.
Yeah.
How much in sales are we billing for every single week? How much, who owes me?
Right.
When do I need to pay the loan back?
Exactly.
You need to know these things that are like a fine dance. That's what it is. It's cash flow management.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't go in this oblivious, where it's just like, I have somebody to do that. No, you still have to be able to
check
the checker. You got to be able to check the checker.
You still got to be present in your business.
Exactly. So I don't have any more questions. I appreciate you for being here, coming on the platform, telling us, exactly what bookkeeping is, because, there's a lot of us that don't really know what's going on. And like I said, some of them was just saying, hey, well, I'm doing this in Excel, or I'm writing it down, and it's not, they don't understand exactly, the tools and the people that they really need to have on their team to keep their business in order.
I think the one thing we need to do, I know you're getting ready to close out, is just not be afraid of the process. I think that's the one thing that I run into, especially for African Americans. Sorry, but I do. When it comes to working with us, we just are a little bit skeptical about the technology, especially. We are moving to the place of digital currency. We're moving to the place where if you don't have an accounting system or some form of infrastructure, we will be left behind. It is for us to find the most economical way to begin to add these things to our businesses. If we want to scale and grow, if we just want to be viable.
Right. And I could talk on that subject all day because I'm big into digital currency, Bitcoin, and all of that great stuff. I think I have a book like right behind me, and it's Bitcoin in Black America,
digital currency, artificial intelligence. I mean, it's all happening right now. Right. And so, I mean, we talk about these things, these systematic things where these systemic things where we're left out of the conversation for loans and stuff. Well, if we are completely afraid of technology, where will we be then?
Exactly. And I think that is one of the, I'm a big advocate of this, for people to understand, to start, pushing the need to understand what, digital currency is, crypto, Bitcoin, all of those things, understand exactly what's coming in, because digital currency is here.
It's here.
It's here.
It's here. Technology and that takeover is here. And so if your thought process right now is, well, I don't really want nobody looking in my bank account, then you need to go out of business, because this is where we are moving to. And it's going to cost you more to maintain it. There's going to be a higher price tag to maintain business for people who don't want to incorporate technology into their business versus people that want to,
Yeah, they still got those paper files.
Like, it's going to be more.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that I really stress is the ability to find out about it. I talk about it a lot. Talk about there's like different systems, different coins that you can start learning now. If you have not started in the Bitcoin platform yet, if you don't know anything about it, check me out. Go to fredbrandon.info. I have a lot of information there as well if you are interested in getting acclimated to understanding digital currency. And because, like I said, it is here, and it's been here. The thing about it is, a lot of us don't think about it. A credit card is digital. It's not necessary. There's a little piece of plastic that they give you, but that's just kind of like to placate you. It's all it is numbers moving from one account to another. So it's already been here, but now they're just putting a new face on it.
And that's bookkeeping too. I mean, if you just broke it down, if you have a credit card company that collects money on your behalf, is that 1 day? Is that 2 days? Is that 3 days, 7 days that they have in terms of depositing that money into your bank account? Most people will say, oh, it goes right in my bank. How do you know?
Right, exactly. I got one question here. Let's see, let me put it up there.
Should your accountant be familiar with tax law? I think if they are, that's a great question. I think that really depends on your need as the CEO. And also they don't have to be. The more tax information or tax law that they know will only help them to do the bookkeeping better for you if they're not the person that is performing your taxes for you.
Right.
So if they do, it kind of rounds it out for you, but they don't have to.
Right. All right. Good question there.
Great question.
Yeah, because I know there is so much to know, especially when it comes to tax law. I know my accountant has to do a lot of different things, so they have to know exactly what's up with all the taxes. But it's as you said, it's not a requirement, but it's if they are if their duties include preparing taxes, then they better know what's really going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then that's a requirement that you can have. I mean, if you need that type of information just to make you better as a CEO, if you're in real estate, do you know about real estate law? Do you know about assets acquisition? What becomes a cost of the asset, or what's just a regular expense? Those are things that you may want for them to know a little bit more, but they don't have to.
Right. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the crowds here. Let me scroll back up and see if I missed anything. I think everybody was just commenting. Yeah, I don't really see any questions in there. All right, so, but yeah, I appreciate you for being here, for taking time out of your schedule to talk about.
I was so excited. This has been great. I really appreciate the conversation.
The fun topic of money. I told you, money it makes me smile. It makes me smile all the time.
To make all of us smile.
Exactly, right? So I appreciate you for being here, and taking time out of your busy schedule. And thank you for everything. And make sure you follow Itika here on IG and Facebook here at the Bookkeeping Strategist. So if you are not following her, I want to see a whole bunch of follows later. So I see a couple people saying done and everything. So that's great. All right. Appreciate all of y'all. Make sure y'all do that. All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank everyone for being here this evening. I want to have y'all join us next week. You know what? I can't even describe this person that's coming next week. But next week, her name is Courtney Richardson. Everyone knows her as the Ivy Investor. Mm-hmm. She does a little bit of everything. So just come back next week. We will be talking about generational wealth. We'll be talking about investing in a lot of different things, because she has a lot of different components to the things that she does. So thank you for coming in here, checking us out here on YouTube, on Periscope, wherever you're watching this. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, New Network, YouTube, and Twitter, all at IMF Brandon. If you enjoyed this show, be sure to support the show via Cash App and # more owned, or you can donate via crypto on fredbrandon.info. So thank you for everyone being here. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for being here, Itika, and I am going to cut on out of here.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
See you. Thank you.
No problem.